Hello. I am going to I figured since I'm posting this video on the week of July 4th that I would do a little themed video reading some maybe unknown facts or fun facts about the 4th of July. So some of these, I haven't read them all, but some of these I know, and most of these probably I don't know. So hopefully it's a fun video for you. I'm going to do soft spoken today. And I'm going to be chewing Trident bubblegum. So I hope you enjoy this video. And I hope everybody, if you celebrate the 4th of July, I hope you have fun plans made. I know that our neighborhood is gonna do like a little parade together, and we'll go look at fireworks somewhere. But I would love to hear if you celebrate the 4th of July, what your traditions are. We always grill out somewhere, sometimes with friends, sometimes with family, and we typically always try to go see fireworks somewhere. But if that doesn't happen, then we usually at least have some little things to have at the house, like sparklers for the kids and maybe some bottle rockets and things like that. Okay, so the first fact is the Liberty Bell is tapped 13 times on the 4th of July. Every year on July 4th, descendants of the Declaration of Independence signers tap the Liberty Bell 13 times. Of course, this tradition was created as a way to honor the 13 original colonies. I've never been to see the Liberty Bell. I've never been to Boston, but I would love to go. Massachusetts was this is the second one. Massachusetts was the first state to make July 4th an official state holiday. The New England state made it official on July 3rd, 1781. Coney Island hosts a famous hot dog eating contest every year on July 4th. It takes place at Nathan's Famous Corporation's original and best known restaurant in Coney Island, New York City. But if you can't make it in person, you can still watch the televised event from home. Did not know that. And I've never even been to Coney Island, even though I've been to New York a few times. I've never gone over there. The first time, I didn't have time. We were only there for one day in New York City. And then the second time, we had it in our itinerary. But we realized that it was actually a little bit far. But that wasn't the main reason. The main reason was because we were there in March, and we found out that most of the things would not be open that early in the year. If I'm wrong, someone correct me, because I was so bummed. But I guess maybe they wait until warmer weather to have everything going all the time. So we didn't want to spend so much time going over there when we weren't completely sure it was going to be like up and running. It says Joey Chestnut currently holds the title of hot dog eating world champion after setting the new record at Nathan's. Oh my word. He ate a record-breaking 76 hot dogs and buns in the 2021 competition. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm assuming if you're going to compete like that, like I'm assuming you've like practiced to be able to do that. How sick would you be? That is something I don't understand doing. I don't understand it because you're going to inevitably be so miserable. Like, at what cost? But, okay. There have been 27 different versions of the U.S. flag. Huh. I did know this, that the original flag featured 13 stars and stripes to represent the 13 colonies. And today's American flag features 50 stars and 13 stripes. But I did not know there were 27 versions. Okay. Former President Barack Obama's older daughter was born on the 4th of July. Malia Obama was born on July 4th, 1998. John Hancock was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. I read somewhere else that so he was the first person, and he did it in the very center. And I guess because nobody else's names were on there, his bold signature is so memorable because it's so huge. It's like the biggest name on there. And so his name became synonymous with the word, as in, put your John Hancock on this form. Which, I went to see the Declaration of Independence when we were in DC last time. And it's so bold, front and center. President Zachary Taylor died after falling ill at a July 4th celebration. He died on July 9th, 1850, after only 16 months in office. The exact cause of his death is still debated by historians, but many believe it had something to do with the large quantities of cherries and iced milk he had during the 4th of July festivities. Huh. Cherries and iced milk. Okay. Apple pie has been a staple American dessert since the 1700s. I love apple pie. Settlers were looking for new traditions once they arrived to America. And one of the ways to reach this goal was through food, more specifically pastries. Leaving behind their usual British scones and sweets, they were taught how to preserve apples and make pie crust from their fellow Dutch and German immigrants. Though earlier versions of apple pie did exist in other countries, the first recipe for apple pie in America was published in a cookbook in 1796. Huh. That is an American staple, but I guess I don't make it. We don't have the tradition of having apple pie on July 4th. Do any of you do that? But I do love apple pie. And I love apple pie with vanilla ice cream. Okay. Bristol, Rhode Island has the longest running 4th of July parade, dating all the way back to 1785. Bristol has held an annual Independence Day celebration, one that the town is known for. It's considered the oldest annual 4th of July celebration to date. Huh. I think most of us know this. The proper way to fold an American flag is in the shape of a triangle. The reason behind the triangular shape is so that it replicates the iconic tri-cornered hat that soldiers wore in the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War. I didn't know that. But I remember, I don't know if any of you did this in like school, but I think in like grade school, at least in like elementary school and middle school, they would have students every day. Different students could be assigned to go outside and take the flag down off the flagpole and fold it up at the end of the day. And so I remember doing that. I remember folding it in, and there was that special way to fold it to be a triangle. Patrick Henry is the one who said, "Give me liberty or give me death." The famous line was one small part of a speech Patrick Henry gave to Peyton Randolph back in March 23rd, 1775, as a first formal request for the Virginia colony's right to freedom. I do know that because I taught that speech. As an English teacher, we would use that speech to teach persuasion and kind of analyze the different elements of the speech that used persuasive techniques. Betsy Ross is often credited with being the first person to sew the American flag. Though it's not officially known who exactly sewed the first American flag, there's a long-standing belief that it was Betsy Ross who completed the task at the request of General George Washington. John Adams predicted that Independence Day would be a huge celebration for many generations to come. In a letter he wrote to his wife, Abigail Adams, he declared that the day should be filled with games, sports, parades, and laughter. He basically planned the day for us. Independence Day was once celebrated on July 5th. The holiday fell on a Sunday in 1779, so Americans celebrated on Monday, the 5th of July. I had heard this one before. 3 U.S. presidents have died on the 4th of July. James Monroe, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson all died on the Patriotic Day. Adams and Jefferson passed in 1826, and Monroe passed 5 years later in 1831. There are some copies of the Declaration of Independence with a woman's signature on it. Mary Catherine Goddard wasn't one of the official signers in 1776, but the printer and publisher added her name to the Declaration of Independence after she was hired by Congress to print copies. That's funny. The 50th star was added to the American flag on July 4th, 1960. It symbolized Hawaii's admission to the as the U.S.'s 50th state. Several of my friends in my neighborhood went to Hawaii this summer. And I'm so jealous because I've never been. I would really love to go. It's on my list. John Adams thought Independence Day should be celebrated on July 2nd. He had a point, given that the Continental Congress did declare its freedom from Great Britain on July 2nd, 1776. However, an official document explaining this move to the public wasn't published until 2 days later on July 4th, 1776. I did not know that. Americans consume a lot of hot dogs on July 4th. About 150 million to be exact. Wow, it's kind of depressing. Yes, you read that right. According to the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, Los Angeles residents alone consume about 30 million pounds of hot dogs on July 4th. It's safe to say their holiday favorite. Wow. Okay. I prefer having hamburgers to hot dogs. I don't know about you guys, but that's a lot of hot dogs. The Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest began over a century ago. Wow. According to the company itself, the first unofficial contest took place on July 4th, 1916. The contest, which began with 4 immigrants competing to determine who was the most patriotic, ended up becoming one of the most widely known July 4th traditions in America. Okay. Despite what you might have thought, only 2 men signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. You can thank John Hancock and Charles Thompson for this one. The rest of the delegates signed within the weeks that followed. There are approximately 16,000 Independence Day fireworks displays that take place each year. Wow. America's 4th of July tradition is a bit of a loud one, but iconic nonetheless. According to History.com, the custom dates back to 1777. Wow. It's a fun tradition, I think. When we look at the costs, Americans spend over $1 billion on fireworks every 4th of July. Wow. That's crazy. It is fun to take kids to fireworks. We have a really big show each year in our city. And last year was the first year we went, but it was really fun. But it was late because it doesn't get dark until late in the summer. And so I say late because we have a kid who doesn't go to bed that late, but we kept him up that night. July 4th wasn't an official holiday until almost 100 years after the Declaration of Independence was signed. It wasn't common to celebrate this patriotic event for the first few decades of America's independence. When it was established as an official holiday in 1870, it became one of the most popular non-religious celebrations in the United States. There were only about 2.5 million people living in the United States in 1776. That number is drastically different from the approximately 332 million people that live here today. Wow. Hospitals receive a surplus of patients on July 4th due to fireworks-related injuries. That I believe. In 2020, an estimated 15,600 people were hospitalized with injuries related to fireworks. Learning proper firework handling protocol can help prevent these mishaps. You just think that, like, anybody out there can buy these really dangerous products. And there's no, like, controlling who does it or where they fire them out. Like, and, like, there's so many YouTube videos out there of, like, fail videos with fireworks. It's actually really scary. Our national anthem wasn't the Star Spangled Banner until 1931. It took 117 years for the words written in 1814 by Francis Key Scott to gain federal recognition. Now it's easily one of the most famous songs in the country. The One World Trade Center in New York was designed to be 1,776 feet tall. One of the most spectacular features of the building is its height, which represents the year America declared independence from Great Britain. The Liberty Bell hasn't been rung since 1846. The last time the bell rang was on Washington's birthday in February 1846 when a major crack appeared on the bell. Wow. The first newspaper to print the Declaration of Independence was the Pennsylvania Evening Post. They didn't waste any time either. The Declaration was published in the paper's Saturday issue on July 6, 1776. It was soon published in other newspapers throughout the colonies. And there was even a German translation of it printed in the it's in German. A newspaper that catered to Pennsylvania's large German population. George Washington celebrated the 4th of July in 1778, even though he was at war. On July 4, 1778, George Washington treated U.S. soldiers to a double ration of rum and a cannon salute. It was once considered disrespectful to keep your business open on the 4th of July. Before the Civil War, people who kept their businesses open during the holiday were deemed unpatriotic. However, it became more acceptable after the war when store owners started holding patriotic 4th of July sales. It's a tradition in New England to eat salmon on the 4th of July. Eating salmon and peas on Independence Day is a New England practice that dates back centuries. Many swear by the recipe and have made it a staple for the American holiday. Will this be something you cook up for your 4th of July barbecue? That is not what we normally eat on the 4th of July. I did not know that was a tradition. There are other countries that celebrate America's independence on the 4th of July. Interesting. Countries like Denmark, England, Norway, Portugal, and Sweden all take part in hosting commemorations for the holiday. This is in part to honor their many citizens who immigrated to the U.S., but also as a move to attract tourists. Interesting. If you're from one of those countries, is that true? Do you see that? I didn't know that. There's one U.S. president who was born on the 4th of July. America's 30th president, Calvin Coolidge, was born on July 4th, 1872. A time capsule was buried by Paul Revere and Sam Adams. On July 4th, 1795, the two men placed the capsule under the Massachusetts State House in Boston. It was discovered more than 2 centuries later by workers fixing a leak. When state officials opened it, they discovered a pine tree shilling coin, a copper medal engraved with the image of George Washington, several newspapers, and a silver plate thought to be engraved by Paul Revere. Huh. There are 31 towns in the U.S. that contain the word liberty. The largest town is Liberty, Missouri, with a population of 32,865. Wow, that's so small. Interesting. Okay, that's all I have. Those were 40 facts, and it was on the Pioneer Woman's website. Very interesting. Yeah, the hot dog facts were crazy to me. Okay. Wow. Happy 4th of July to everybody. I hope this video was relaxing to listen to. I like listening to trivia stuff. It's interesting to me, and also, I don't know, I just enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July if you celebrate it. And I will see you soon.